Good evening, students. In this video, we are going to discuss about chemical equations. This is the part of your second chapter, the language of chemistry. Here are the topics which I would like to cover in this video. Chemical equation, how to balance chemical equations, limitations of chemical equations, merits of chemical equations, how to make an equation more informative. Let us start with the chemical equation. What is a chemical equation? A chemical equation shows the overall change of the reactants to the products. As you all know that reactants are the substances which undergoes reaction and the result of the reaction is product. So, in a chemical equation, we use the symbols of the substances which involved in the reaction, or we can define the chemical equation as the symbolic representation of chemical reaction using symbols and formulae of the substances involved. Now, let us see how to write an equation. Take the reaction of sodium and water as example. The products of this reaction are sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. The first step is to write the reactants on LHS with a positive sign between them. What are the reactants here? Sodium and water. Now, we are going to write the symbols of sodium and water. Symbol of sodium is Na and for water is H2O. Now add a positive sign between them. In the second step, we have to write the products that are sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. Formula for sodium hydroxide is NaOH and for hydrogen is H2. Finally, put an arrow mark between the reactants and the products. This arrow mark shows the direction of the reaction, that is from reactants to products. So the arrow mark headed towards the products. This is the required equation for the reaction sodium and water. One thing we have to keep in mind that the reactants and products always represent in their molecular forms. As you can see here, for hydrogen, we are using H2. The actual symbol for hydrogen is H, but the hydrogen is a diatomic molecule, so we have to write its molecular form, that is H2. Now, let us move on to the next topic. What chemical reactions may involve? Firstly, we have the type of reactions with one reactant and two or more products. See the example. Calcium carbonate reacts to give calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. On LHS, we have calcium carbonate, which is the reactant, and on RHS, we have calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So, how many reactants here? Yes, one reactant, that is calcium carbonate. And how many products? Two products, calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Have a look at the other example. Lead nitrate undergoes reaction, produce lead oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen. Well, how many reactants here? One reactant, lead nitrate. And what about the products? We have three products over here: lead oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen. So this is the first type of reaction with one reactant and two or more products. Secondly, we have the type of reactions which contain two reactants and one product. Example, formation of ammonia. As you can see here, nitrogen and hydrogen undergoes reaction, produce ammonia. How many reactants? Two reactants, nitrogen and hydrogen. And how many products? Only one product here, that is ammonia. Move to the third type. In this type of reactions, two reactants and two products are involving. Reaction of silver nitrate and sodium chloride is an example for this type. See the equation. Silver nitrate on reaction with sodium chloride gives silver chloride and sodium nitrate. How many reactants? Two reactants, silver nitrate and the sodium chloride. Products, two products are the silver chloride and sodium nitrate. Another example for the same type is the reaction of sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. The products are sodium chloride and water. How many reactants? Two reactants. And how many products? Two products. So this is the third type. Two reactants and two products. Finally, we have the type of reaction with two reactants and three or more products. For example, the reaction of copper and sulfuric acid. The products are copper sulfate, water, and sulfur dioxide. So, two reactants on LHS, copper and sulfuric acid. And how many products are there? Three products: copper sulfate, water, and sulfur dioxide. So, we have seen some equations here. These equations are called skeleton equation. That is, a skeleton equation is just a way of using the formulas to indicate the chemicals that were involved in the chemical reaction. Or this skeleton equation represents a chemical change, but it is unbalanced. What does this unbalanced mean? It is an equation which has unequal number of atoms in the reactants and products. That is, the total number of atoms of each element on the two sides are not equal. See the example. Formation of hydrogen chloride from hydrogen and chlorine. On reactant side, how many hydrogen atoms we have? Two hydrogen atoms, H2. Two hydrogen atoms are there. And see the product side, how many hydrogen atoms? Only one hydrogen atom. That means the number of hydrogen atoms on both sides of the equation is not equal. Similarly, chlorine atom. On reactant side, we have two chlorine atoms, but on the product side, only one chlorine atom. This clearly shows that the given equation is not a balanced equation, since the number of atoms of each elements are not equal on reactant side and in the product side. Now arises the question, what is a balanced equation? Balanced equation also represent a chemical change, but the total number of atoms of each element on the two sides of equations are equal. Take a look at this example. H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl. Let us count the number of hydrogen atoms on both sides. On reactant side, we have 2 hydrogen atoms, and on product side also 2 hydrogen atoms. This 2 is the coefficient here, which is common for hydrogen and for chlorine. So on product side, we have 2 hydrogen atoms. Similarly, chlorine atoms. On reactant side, we have 2 chlorine atoms, and also in the product side, we have 2 chlorine atoms. That means the number of atoms of each element, here hydrogen and chlorine, on both sides are equal. Thus we can say that this equation is balanced. Now you may think that why should an equation to be balanced, or what is the necessity of a balanced equation? Here we have the answer. An equation be balanced in order to comply with the law of conservation of matter. What is law of conservation of matter? Matter neither be created nor be destroyed. Let us take the previous example. Hydrogen plus chlorine gives hydrogen chloride. As you can see that the number of hydrogen atoms and the chlorine atoms are not equal on both sides. So we can say that this is an unbalanced equation. So where did the atom go? After the reaction, the number of atom is less here. On the product side, the number of atoms of hydrogen and chlorine are less. So where did the atoms go? Is this equation is correct? As per this equation, the atoms have been destroyed, but it never happens according to the law of conservation of matter. Thus came the necessity of balancing the equation. As we discussed, an equation is balanced only when the number of atoms of reactants and the number of atoms of product same. If the number of atoms are equal on both sides, the mass will also be equal on both sides. That means before reaction and after reaction, the mass is same. Thus obeys the law of conservation of mass. So the necessity of a balanced equation is to comply with the law of conservation of mass. Now let us turn to the next issue, how to balance a chemical equation. Here we are using hit and trial method to balance the equation. There are some steps to follow. The first step is counting the number of times an elements occur on both sides. Second step, balance the element with less frequency. And in the step 3, if 2 or more elements have the same frequency, the metallic element should be balanced first. So let us try some examples. See the example. Cu plus H2SO4, copper plus sulfuric acid gives copper sulfate plus sulfur dioxide plus water. In the first step, we have to count the atoms of each elements on both sides of the equation. For convenience, we can make a table of 3 columns. In the first column, we have elements. In the second, we have reactants. And on the third column, products. See, this is how we have to make the table. On the first column, elements. On the reactant side, second column, reactants. And on the third column, products. In the elements column, we are writing the symbols of all the elements taking part in the chemical reaction. And on the second column, that is reactants, there we are counting the atoms of each element on the reactant side. And on third column, the number of atoms of each element on the product side. See here, in this equation, how many copper atoms on the reactant side? 1 atom. So we have to write that 1 here in the second column, that is for reactants. And how many copper atoms on the product side? Only 1 atom. 1 atom here. Then comes to the next element, that is hydrogen. On reactant side, we have 2 hydrogen atoms. And on product side, as you can see here, 2 hydrogen atoms. So 2 atoms, that is on the product side. Then the next element is sulfur. On LHS or in the reactant side, only 1 sulfur atom present. So that we can write here 1 atom. And on product side, see in this copper sulfate, 1 sulfur atom present. And also in the sulfur dioxide, 1 sulfur atom. So total 2 sulfur atoms present. 2 atoms. Lastly, we have oxygen element. On reactant side, 4 oxygen atoms are there, that we can write here 4 atoms. And move to the product side. In this term, we have 4 oxygen atom. Here 2, so 4 plus 2, 6. And here 1 oxygen atom. So total 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7 oxygen atoms on product side. So this is the first step, making the table. Move to the second step. That we are checking which elements are not balanced. See, copper on reactant side and on product side, 1 atoms. So that is already balanced, need not to change it. Now comes hydrogen. Both the sides contain equal number of atoms. So that is also need not to be changed. Then comes to the sulfur. On reactant side, 1 atom, and on product side, 2 atoms. That is, in the reactant side, the atom is less. The number of atom is less. So we have to balance this first. So to equalize sulfur atoms, multiply H2SO4 by 2, where we can find the sulfur atom. In this term, we have the sulfur atom, and also on reactant side, the number is less. So we should multiply 2 here. So we will have the equation like this. Copper plus 2H2SO4 gives copper sulfate plus sulfur dioxide plus water. Here you have to keep in mind that we can write 2 as a coefficient only. Never write as a subscript. Like here, as you can see that 2 is written downside as a subscript. We cannot write like this. We can only add the numbers as a coefficient. That you should keep in mind always. So after multiplying H2SO4, we will have the equation like this. But the problem is that when we multiply 2 here, the rest of the elements other than sulfur, like hydrogen and oxygen here, their numbers also change. So we have to change that in the column. So sulfur now changed by 2, that is multiplying by 2. The total number of sulfur atom on reactant side is now 2. And on product side, there is no any change. That is 2 only. And what about hydrogen? After multiplying here, it became 4. So into 2 equal to 4. And oxygen also changed. That is 2 into 4 equal to 8. On reactant side, 8 oxygen atoms. So our second step is also over. Move to the third step. From the table, we can see that the oxygen atom is not balanced. Sulfur atom we balance. Now on the reactant side 2 atoms and on product side also 2 atoms. But see the oxygen on reactant side 8 atoms and on product side 7 atoms. So we have to balance the oxygen atoms and also hydrogen atoms. So to equalize hydrogen atoms, multiply H2O by 2. Here you can see on reactant side we have 4 hydrogen atoms, but on product side only 2 was there. So we have to make it 4. For that we are multiplying H2O by 2. So our table become like this. After multiplying 2 over here, that is on the product side, we are multiplying on the product side. So we have to change in the product side into 2. Now the number of hydrogen atom on product side is 4. What about oxygen? As here oxygen atom is also present, the number of oxygen atom also change. Count the oxygen atom on product side. 4 plus 2 6 plus 2 7 plus 2 8. So our equation is balanced now. See the table again. Copper 1 atom on reactant side. On product side 1 atom. Hydrogen after changing 4 atoms on reactant side. And on product side also 4 atoms. Sulfur 2 atoms on reactant side. And product side also 2 atoms. Oxygen on reactant side 8 atoms. And on product side 8 atoms. That means the number of each elements are equal on reactant side and on product side. So this is the required balanced equation for the reaction copper and sulfuric acid. Let us try another example. Iron and water. Fe plus H2O gives Fe2O3 plus H2. First step, counting the atoms. For that, we are making the table. The first column is for elements, second column for reactants, and third column for the product side. Which are the elements present here? First element is iron. So write the symbol on the first column, Fe. And now count the iron atoms on the reactant side. Only 1 atom here. So write it in the second column, 1 atom. And count the iron atoms on the product side. How many atoms over here? 2 iron atoms. So write that 2 here on the column product side. The next element is hydrogen. So write the symbol for hydrogen here. How many atoms are there in the reactant side? 2 hydrogen atoms. Write that in this reactant column. And move to the product side. How many hydrogen atoms? 2 hydrogen atoms. Right. And the lastly we have oxygen element. Write the symbol on the elements column. And Count the number of oxygen atom on the reactant side. Only one oxygen atom. So one here. Then in the product side, how many oxygen atoms here? 3 oxygen atoms present. So write that 3 here in the product column. So the first step is over. In the second step, we have to find out which is not yet balanced. As you can see here, iron on reactant side only one atom, but in the product side, 2 atoms are there. So less number is in the reactant side. We have to change the reactant side. To balance iron atoms, multiply iron on the LHS. That means reactant side by 2. So we have the equation like this. 2Fe plus H2O gives Fe2O3 plus H2O. We add or multiply 2. We add it as a coefficient here. As here there is no any elements, there will be no any other difference. So after multiplying 2, the number of iron atoms changed. Now it changed into 2. So we have 2 iron atoms now. In the product side also 2 atoms, hydrogen 2, product side also 2. What is left? Oxygen is left. As you can see here, only one atom is there in the reactant side. But on product side, 3 atoms are there. So we have to balance the oxygen atom. To balance oxygen atom on RHS, multiply H2O by 3. See here, we have to multiply here by 3. And after multiplication, you can see the number of oxygen atom changed by 3. At the same time, hydrogen will also change. So oxygen changed by 3 and also hydrogen. Now the hydrogen atoms are 3 into 2, total 6 atoms. Now see the table. 2 iron atoms on both sides. Hydrogen atom now on reactant side 6, but in the product side only 2. What about oxygen? Already balanced. So in the last step, we have to balance this hydrogen atom. To balance hydrogen atoms, multiply 3 before hydrogen on RHS. That means on the product side, we have to multiply 3. So as you can see here, multiplied 3 before hydrogen. So what is the number of hydrogen now? 3 into 2, 6. 2 into 3, 6. Okay, see the table again. 2 iron atoms on both sides. Hydrogen 6, 6. Oxygen 3, 3. So the equation is balanced. The required equation is 2Fe plus 3H2O gives Fe2O3 plus 3H2. Okay, move to the next topic. Information conveyed by a balanced chemical equation. What informations we are getting from a balanced chemical equations? First, about the actual result of the chemical reaction. What is the result of the reaction? What are the products formed? That we can identify from the balanced chemical equation. Second, the reactants involved and the products formed. By seeing the equation, we can understand the reactants and the products. About the number of molecules of each substance taking part and formed in the reaction. How many molecules are taking part in the chemical reaction? For example, sodium hydroxide sulfuric acid reaction. As you can see, 2 NaOH. 2 NaOH means 2 molecules of sodium hydroxide reacts with the 1 molecule of sulfuric acid gives 1 molecule of sodium sulfate and 2 molecules of water. So from a balanced equation, you can understand how many molecules of each substance taking part. Fourth, the chemical composition of the reactive respective molecules. Example, one molecule of sodium hydroxide. One molecule of sodium hydroxide contains one sodium atom, one oxygen atom, and one hydrogen atom. So from an equation, we can say, or we will get the idea of the composition of the molecules. What about sulfuric acid? Two atoms of hydrogen, one atom of sulfur, and four atoms of oxygen. Likewise, we can understand the chemical composition of the respective molecules. Also, we can understand about the molecular mass. As we are using the formula of the substances in the chemical equation, we can calculate the molecular mass of the compounds. Last, we have, it proves the law of conservation of mass. That is, the total mass of the substance on either side of the equation is the same. See the example, sodium hydroxide plus H2SO4 gives Na2SO4 and water. Find out the molecular mass of each substances. 2 NaOH here, so we have to multiply that 2. What is the atomic mass of sodium? 23 plus atomic mass of oxygen atom, 16, and one hydrogen atom is 1. Same here, H2SO4, 2 hydrogen atom weighs 2 AMU, and for 1 atom of sulfur, 32, and for 4 oxygen atoms, that is 16 into 4, 64. Same here, on product side, 2 sodium atoms are there, so total 2 into 23, 46, 1 sulfur atom, 32, and for 4 oxygen atoms, it is 64. Plus, here you can see 2 water molecules are present. So 2 into, for 2 hydrogen atoms, atomic weight 2, sorry, molecular weight 2, and for 1 oxygen atom, atomic weight 16. After calculation, the mass of 2 sodium hydroxide molecules, that is 80, and for 1 sulfuric acid molecule, it is 98. Here 142 plus 36. Total, on reactant side, we will get 178 as the total mass, and on product side also 178. That means the total mass of the reactants is equal to the total mass of the products, or the mass of the substances remains same after the reaction also. What it means? It means that it obeys the law of conservation of mass. Okay, move to the next topic. Limitations of a chemical equation. Some drawbacks are also there for a chemical equation. First one, it does not tell us the physical state of the reactants and products. That means whether the reactants is in the solid state, liquid state, or in the gaseous state, that we cannot understand from a balanced chemical equation. Next, time taken for the completion of reaction. How much time it needs to complete the reaction, that we cannot understand. Whether heat is absorbed or given out during the equation. By seeing a chemical equation, you cannot understand whether the reaction needs heat energy or it releases heat energy. Fourth, we have the respective concentration of the reactants and products. For example, if we are using any acids, whether we are using dilute acid or concentrated acid, that we cannot understand from the equation. The rate at which the reaction proceeds, at what rate the reaction occurs, that cannot be understood. Whether the reaction is reversible or irreversible, the condition, whether the reaction, the reversibility of the reaction cannot be told by a balanced chemical equation. Whether last one is whether the reaction is completed or incompleted. We cannot understand by the equation that the reaction is completed or incompleted. We can see only the products. What is the product formed by this reaction? That only we can understand from the equation. But you cannot tell that whether the reaction is completed or not. So lastly, we have the topic how to make a chemical equation more informative. Information regarding temperature, pressure, catalyst, etc. can be provided above and below the arrow separating the reactants and products. For example, the formation of ammonia. As you can see here, over the arrow we have Fe plus MO. This Fe and MO, they are the catalyst. Iron is the catalyst and MO is the promoter. Molybdenum is the promoter here. And at what temperature condition the reaction occurs? At 450 centigrade. And also for this reaction there is a pressure condition, that is 200 to 900 atm pressure. At this pressure only the reaction occurs. So these informations we can provide by writing it over the arrow and or below the arrow. Next, the reactions which are reversible can be shown by the sign double-sided arrow. This is the double-sided arrow. If the reaction is reversible, we can use this double-sided arrow instead of this simple arrow. Example, iron reaction with steam. We will get iron oxide and a hydrogen. This is a reversible reaction. So we can use this double-sided arrow. Heating during the reaction can be shown by a sign of delta. If our reaction is absorbing heat energy or we have to heat the substances, then we can use the symbol delta. See the example, the decomposition of potassium chloride. We are using the symbol delta over the arrow, which means we are heating the reactants. Okay, for the physical state of the substances, we can use S for solid, L for liquid, G for gas, and AQ for the aqueous solution. See the example, zinc in bracket S is there. This shows that zinc is in the solid state. And hydrogen chloride, AQ mentioned here, it means the aqueous solution of HCl we are taking for the reaction. Then comes zinc chloride. Again, AQ, it stands for the aqueous solution. And the formed hydrogen, it is a gas. So we can mention it as G here. Chemical reactions proceed with the evolution or absorption of heat shown by adding a heat term. If the reaction absorbs heat energy, then we can add a heat term with the reactants. And if the reaction is releasing heat energy, we can add heat on the product side. See the example, carbon plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and heat. Heat energy is releasing, so we can add a heat term over the product side. Next, concentration of acids can be added by using concentration for CONC dot for concentrated acids and DIL dot for dilute acids. See here, in the reaction of zinc and sulfuric acid, we are using only dilute sulfuric acid that we can show by using DIL dot. And in this case, zinc plus sulfuric acid, here we are using concentrated acid. So the products are different. So when you can see this CONC and DIL, it gives the information about the concentration of the substances which we have taken for the reaction. And if any precipitate formed during the reaction, it can be shown by a downward arrow. In the reaction of silver nitrate and hydrogen chloride, Silver chloride is the precipitate. So we can mark a downward arrow here. From this we can understand that silver chloride is the precipitate form. So these are the things which we have to learn in the topic chemical equations. I hope you all understood. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.